Jablam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Bojarinov. You can follow me on Twitter at Russia98, and I am with
Conner Rowntree. You can find me on Twitter at The Sports Tree.
And, of course, you can find us both on Twitter at Jablam Hockey. Let's get into it. Before we get into trending now, though, what do we have this episode? Of course, we are doing a Team ISO Winnipeg Jets with special guest Art Middleton from JetsNation.ca. And then we've got a few short segments. We're going to be doing the Jablam Junior Hockey Update, Saturday's picks. What do we think big games are going to happen this Saturday? And we'll end off with some hot and cold. Oh, and did I say Leafs looking too?
A little peek at the Leafs, yeah.
Yeah. All right. But first, trending now. Let me talk about some naked, and then fully covered. Number one, and of course, all the stuff we're going to be talking about is going to be on our game notes on our website, JablamHockey.com.
It's going to be a weird trending now.
Yes. Number one, Jonathan Drouin with some,
Thighs?
Like, I don't know. You know what? I was thinking when I saw, and we're going to, obviously, it's going to be on the website. When I saw the video of Drouin pulling down his hockey pants, and he's wiping himself. Obviously, he must be really hot, and he's sweating a lot, I guess. That's the first time I've ever seen a pro athlete actually pull down their pants for any other reason. Like, I mean, I remember the touchdown thing, which was the big issue. The fake pulling down the pants, but not actually pulling down your pants, and we're seeing you in your tighty whities.
On the bench.
Yeah.
On the bench. Like, the NFL guys go into that blue tent, fix what they got to fix. NBA guys go to the locker room for a couple minutes. Drouin just goes full on, pulls the pants down, shows off his Daisy Dukes on the bench. It's not. I don't know. Montreal.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah.
I feel kind of awkward and squeamish, but at the same time, it's like, it's not really a big deal, but it's still kind of weird.
You guys be the judge. Watch it. Tweet us what you think, because I think Peter and I are both a little dumbfounded with Jonathan Drouin this past weekend.
All right, and a place where I'm not dumbfounded and I'm quite excited about was when Janice was singing the anthem at the Global Series games, Colorado versus Ottawa in Stockholm, Sweden, and she comes out to sing the anthem in
a mesh top without a bra?
A fish top, no bra. And you could see it fairly well. I'm pretty sure they have like a shot of a few players, like Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, he was
nice jersey.
He was giving the players
close in Sweden. And of course, I'm wearing this one. We like Karlsson. So him, among other players, were quite happy to see her sing the anthem. And
it was.
I don't know. I guess people in Europe, especially, are a little bit more open.
Yeah, you wouldn't be getting that on North American television, that's for sure. But gotta love the Swedes.
What do you think Trump would have said to that? I think he would have liked it.
There would have been a grab him by the something comment would have been made.
All right, and then somebody who was fully covered was Kevin Bieksa, again pulling off one of his pranks, and he was pretending to be the security guard during one of the team's practices. And again, none of his teammates had no clue. And if you watch,
this is great.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, Bieksa's doing it. Remember we talked about a couple weeks ago, Nashville.
Bonino did it with his team for Halloween. Yep. But Bieksa just does them so randomly. Just one day a year, we'll do something crazy. I think he did it again last year. He always does crazy pranks too. But this one's hilarious because I think if you check out the video, and again, it's going to be on the website and it's on Twitter out there. He's chirping the players as they're coming in to practice. And these guys must be saying, who's this idiot?
Yeah, no, it's a must-see for sure.
All right. And then the other odd thing also, naked, not so fully covered, and then Brad Marchand giving, Leo Komarov a little kiss.
A little love. A little loving, I mean, Komarov crashed the net pretty hard, or Marchand crashed the net pretty hard. Komarov clears him out, and then Marchand just gives him a little.
I think Don Cherry would probably like that. Yeah. But some of us also don't think it's kind of weird.
That would get in my head.
Yeah.
That would be
distracting for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate. What the just happened?
Yeah. Mark Masters tweeted, Komarov on the kiss. I told him I have a wife and a baby, so I can't do it right now. And then he followed up, did it bother you? And Komarov said, no. I kind of liked it.
Leafs won.
Yeah.
I got my Saturday pick straight. It was great.
Yeah.
But some actual hockey news. Congratulations to Mr. Brent Seabrook. Last night he played his 941st game for the Chicago Blackhawks, the only team he's ever played for, obviously. And that puts him into 5th all-time in Blackhawks games played, obviously an original 6 team. So big tip of the cap to Mr. Brent Seabrook.
Yeah, he is very underrated. And
He's a workhorse.
do you think maybe they might need another cup or two, maybe? But we know Kane, Taze, Keith should all have probably statues and will have their banner raised. Will Seabrook have a statue or a banner?
It's tough to say at this point, especially because usually when they raise the banners, especially in Chicago, they retire the numbers, and the problem is with the original 6 teams. Same thing in Toronto. They're running out of numbers to retire, and 7 is a very popular number. Now, I don't think that will really come into play, but Seabrook, 5th all time, most games played. He's won the cups. On the other side, he's won gold medals. He's a surefire Hall of Famer in my books. The guy's a legend. And the best thing about Brent Seabrook is, for Blackhawks fans, a couple years ago in the playoffs when they were making that cup run, when Jonathan Taves took that penalty against the Ducks in the conference final, it was Brent Seabrook that skated over the penalty box, put his arm around Taves, and told him, all is good, Cap. And that's just some leadership that you just don't get with every kind of player. So Brent Seabrook is a very special player and means a lot to that organization. Statue worthy?
All right, time for this week's Team ISO. Of course, it's when we specifically go out to the team bloggers and guys who follow the team way better than us and get a better input onto their team. And this week, we are Team ISOing the Winnipeg Jets with special guest Art Middleton. And Art, of course, is on Twitter at GameTimeArt, and he is the managing editor at JetsNation.ca. Welcome to the show, Art.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me here. I'm happy to be here.
Perfect. All right, let's get right into it. There's a few guys that are playing really well for the Jets, of course. The Jets are looking really good this year. I believe they are 9-4-3 to start, second in that tough Central Division. And I think one of the guys you have to mention is Wheels. Blake Wheeler is off to a crazy good start. I think he's on fire right now, 11 points in the last 5 games. Art, is he going to keep up this pace of 118 points?
Hard to say. I don't know if he's going to keep up 118 points, but, when you talk about Wheeler, and Blake has been amazing, even more so than he has been the last few years. But when you talk about Wheeler, I think you have to talk about that whole line. Him and Scheifele have just formed this amazing duo. Scheifele himself has 9 goals and 21 points. A lot of Wheeler's points have kind of come off the assists. I can't remember the exact stat, but I think 10 of his assists have been primary assists on Wheeler. A lot of them Scheifele's goals. So, yeah, those two together, Wheeler and Scheifele just have this amazing dynamic now. And Kyle Conner, I imagine we'll talk about him in a little bit, but yeah, he's been fantastic as well. Blake Wheeler's been great, and it's the little things. And we even kind of saw it last year. He was taking guys like Laine. Everyone remembers that famous video after Laine scored on his net, and Wheeler kind of put his arm around him. And I mean, that's what you expect from Blake Wheeler. And he doesn't really do the toughness thing as much as he used to. But definitely contributing with the offense, which is nice to see.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of a little bit odd because I was kind of in the middle when the Leafs were still struggling. A little bit loving the Thrashers, and the Wheels, he was all right. Like, again, with the Bruins, I think they didn't expect too much out of him, and that's why they traded him there. I think it was for, what's his name? Peverley, right? Rich Peverley? I think it was Rich Peverley. And
Rich Peverley's that deal, yeah.
Yeah, so then he went to Thrashers, and he played even better, but he's really come alive in Winnipeg. So good for him. But speaking of what you wanted to mention, Kyle Conner, where did he come from? I didn't expect this kind of game for him, and he's playing on the first line.
Yeah, Kyle Conner, he showed signs last year that he was going to be good, but Paul Maurice for whatever reason, just didn't. I don't know if he didn't see it and there was issues with Kyle Connor. There was a stretch of about 10, 15 games where Kyle Connor would get good looks last season, and he couldn't score for the life of him. So they sent him down to the AHL. I know he ended up leading the Moose in scoring with about 20 less games played than pretty much everyone else, and I think he ended up being top 10 in AHL scoring. I might be completely off on that, but he was pretty high. So this year they sent him down to the AHL again to start with, which was kind of a head-scratching move, but they wanted to make room for some of the vets. And once the Jets had some injuries, they brought up Kyle Connor, put him on the first line, and he's been on fire ever since. So I think he's always had that, and he is kind of a true goal scorer. He's not going to be a two-way player or anything like that, but he's got finishing ability. And you get him on a line with Wheeler, who obviously goes to the corners, has no problem getting the puck to his teammates, and Scheifele, who's kind of an all-around player. Scheifele's scoring well, but Scheifele will also the goal that Connor scored against Arizona on Saturday was a product of Scheifele's playmaking ability. So, and Connor's a great finisher. So, yeah, hopefully Paul Maurice has the sense to keep that line together for a while, because they've been pretty good.
All right, speaking about guys with a lot of potential, this guy was oozing potential. Everybody thought he was going to be a stud. Connor Hellebuyck started in the NHL, and everybody's like, he doesn't look too good in his first two seasons. But this year, wow. 8-1-2 start, a .926 save percentage, and very far different from like a .907 last year. What has been the big change in his game for him to play this outstanding so far this year?
Right. I think he changed up a few things in the summer, changed up his training. He changed his agent. He started going with a gentleman by the name of Adam Frankella, who is known for working with a wide variety of goalies, most notably Devin Dubnyk in Minnesota. And he was kind of the guy that kind of was credited with turning Dubnyk's game around a little bit. So Hellebuyck, started working with him, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they brought in Steve Mason, who was kind of supposed to be the guy that was going to take the reins, but I think the Jets also had the idea that, look, we still have faith in Connor Hellebuyck. We still want him to be our goalie of the future, and he still might be. We'll talk about Eric Comrie in a moment. He's kind of waiting in the wings as well, but yeah, no, I think a case of Connor Hellebuyck, it was just they bring in Mason, he kind of relaxes now. He's not the man anymore. Last year, I think it was between Hellebuyck and Hutchinson. There's a little bit too much pressure there for two young goalies that had to carry the load. So I think there's a little bit more of a relaxation with Hellebuyck. He's definitely quieter. He was a lot more scrambly last season. He's definitely a lot better positionally this season. And he's kind of one of the things that a lot of Jets fans have said about Hellebuyck when he broke in was he was big and boring. He would stay square. He wouldn't get out of position too much. He's kind of gone back to that big and boring style now, which is nice to see. And that's kind of the biggest change with him right now.
Well, looking at Connor Hellebuyck, yeah, we're talking about Eric Comrie. Eric Comrie is only 22 years old. Hellebuyck at 24. Comrie is down, obviously playing in Manitoba, with a .923 save percentage and a .241 goals against average and a 5-4-1 record. So he doesn't have the best team in front of him, but he's still able to put up a .923 save percentage at 22 years old in the AHL. Where does Winnipeg go with this goaltending future?
Your guess is as good as mine right now, because it's a little bit of a logjam, and they're going to have to do something. You kind of are factoring in there that Hutchinson's in there, and Hutchinson's still kind of a quality NHL backup, I think, in some ways. So I know Elliot Friedman had talked about, some teams had called about Hutchinson and maybe that they were going to get him shopped around, and I think the Jets do have to shop him around. Mason's around for another year after this season, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon unless the Jets feel that they can run with Hellebuyck. At some point, I think it's going to be Hellebuyck, Comrie, and a couple of years, who knows, maybe. Oh, did I lose you guys?
Yeah, no, it's okay. Just fix the audio.
Okay, sorry. Hang on. Hopefully there's an editing function here.
Yep, we will.
Okay, good. I know the same thing with our podcast there. Okay, we good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, as I was saying, I think with Eric Comrie, he's kind of waiting in the wings, and it's hard to say how Hellebuyck will do there, and what the Jets will do. They got to deal with Hutchinson first. I suspect they'll probably trade him before the deadline, and then next year, I don't know. It'll be a bit of a logjam. Comrie's doing well, and I think the Jets are fine keeping him in the AHL right now, but down the road next year they're going to want to bring Comrie up at least for a backup role, and they'll have to do something with either Mason or maybe even Hellebuck. I don't know.
Well,
and then there's another goalie or two still in the ECHL for the Jets that showed some promise over the prospect camp. So the Jets are kind of deep a little bit in goaltender, more so than I think a lot of people realize.
Well, that's always a good problem to have, especially in the modern NHL where finding a starting goalie is pretty tough. But another player lighting it up down in Manitoba for the Moose is Jack Roslovic. He's fourth in scoring in the AHL this season, 17 points in just 15 games. Started the year with the Jets. How far into the future do you think Roslovic will join the Jets and become a true natural force in the NHL?
I would expect him next season to join the Jets full time. I think when the Jets brought in guys like Matt Hendricks and such, and kind of stuck around with Adam Lowry, I think that was them, biding time for a guy like Roslovic. I think seeing him in camp this season, you just had the sense that Roslovic's good, but he's not quite there yet. And I think the Jets were more than content to let him dominate the AHL a little bit this season. Maybe he gets called up late in the season, especially if the Jets have a little bit of a playoff run them. But it depends on what injuries happen too. But I think next year for sure. I think Roslovic will get your true chance, and that's when you'll see him. The Jets don't want to keep him in the third or fourth line. I think they see him as a top six forward, and anything less than that, I think they would consider kind of a waste of time to keep him down on the team. So to the AHL he goes, and that's where he'll get rack up his minutes and work on his development.
All right. Before we leave you, we've seen all these great Jets prospects come into the team. Scheifele, Ehlers now, and these guys like Roslovic and Comrie. Let's talk about right now, though. This team is playing so well. It might be a little bit shocking to some people. Do you think they still have the potential to make the playoffs this year? And if they do, what can they do in there when they get there?
I think they have as good a chance as anyone in the Central right now, and that was kind of a lot of Jets fans thinking going into the season was the Central's kind of a wide open division. It's a tough division, but it's kind of a wide open division. Every team had question marks. The Blackhawks had question marks. The Predators still had a few question marks of their own. The Blues look really good. I don't think they have any question marks right now, but the Jets have question marks. They still have issues with their defense. They still have issues taking care of the puck. There's some issues, but there's some players that are slumping right now. Brian Little hasn't really been as good as he should have been. Dustin Byfuglien struggled at times this season so far. Those are players that will pick it up. And, Patrick Laine, it's kind of funny, all the prospects we talked about, we haven't really touched on Laine, and all he did was score 30-plus goals last season. Laine's, it's funny, he came out and said hockey's hard, and then proceeded to score 5 goals or score goals in the next 5 games. So if hockey's that hard, I hate to see what he considers an easy challenge for him. There's room for improvement, and that they're doing this well in second place, and there's issues with this team, I think is a good sign. I think before the start of the season, I said that they could make top 3 in the division. I kind of hold true to that. I think this is a top 3 Central Division team, and as far as what happens when they get in the playoffs, hard to say. Playoffs is such a defense, goaltending centric thing, and the Jets still aren't quite there. So it could be another first round and out, but they'll make a little bit more noise in the playoffs than they did the last time a couple years ago.
All right, then since you're talking a little bit about defense, I just want to round that up. Toby also is not looking good the last few years, and it's the end of his contract. Do you think could be gone? And if maybe he's gone, do they need to shore up the defense? Is that a move that they might make at the deadline?
No, I don't think. Well, it's hard to say. They might make a rental if the Jets are there. I think definitely a rental player. Yeah, Toby's definitely on the downside of his career, and he's kind of playing out the string of what he has, and then in a way that's good. I don't expect him back once his contract runs out for a couple of reasons. First off, they have Jacobs Trouba, who has to get a new contract, and a lot of Toby's money is going to go to Jacob's contract.
Before that, do you think Trouba still wants to stay in Winnipeg?
I think so. I think it was a case last year when he made the noise and he said he wanted out. I don't think that was a case of he wanted out of Winnipeg. I don't think he had an issue with the players. I think he was just, he felt he wasn't being used properly. He was stuck. I mean, let's be honest. He was stuck by side Mark Stewart. That would frustrate any defenseman, really. So, yeah, I think it was a usage thing, and I think now that Trouba's kind of, he's got a great partner in Morrissey, and I think he's still the top pairing, if not the second pairing, most nights. I think Trouba's fine with how he's being used now. Cool. But, yeah, to go forward, I don't think Toby Enstrom will be renewed, and I think the Jets are pretty happy with the defense prospects. Tucker Pullman looked great during the preseason. There just hasn't been any room for him, or else he'd still be up on the team right now. And I know the team is also very high on Sami Niku with the Moose, and he's going to be fantastic next year. And I think that'll be who comes in afterwards next year. But as far as the rental goes, absolutely. If the Jets are in the playoff race, I would not be surprised at all to see them go grab a rental star defenseman to help boost them for the playoffs.
Well, Art, thank you for coming on the show. Good luck to the Jets. I hope they keep this up because it's so fun to watch, especially that high-octane offense with all those guys up there. Good luck with the Jets again. And again, if you want to follow Art, we're going to post it on jablamhockey.com on our episode page, game notes, and of course on Twitter at GameTimeArt. Art, thank you for joining us.
Time for a little Jablam Junior Hockey update. We'll start things out in the WHL. Now, this is pretty fantastic. The Swift Current Broncos have the three leading scorers in the dub. Tyler Steenburgen at 46 points, Aleski Hepanomi at 46, and then Glenn Godwin at 38. Yeah, they've combined for over 100 points, those three players, but they're only in second place. First place currently is the Moose Jaw Warriors. Moving over to the Q. We're skipping Ontario for a second. Drake Batherson leads the Q in points. He plays for Cape Breton. He has 34 points. And then Philip Zadina and Maxime Fortier, 30 points and 28 points. They're line mates on Halifax, so they're looking pretty good. But Bruce. It's all about the Quebec Ramparts right now. They have a solid 3-point lead on the next closest team in the Q. In the OHL, Jordan Kyrou?
I would call him Kyrou.
Kyrou? Yeah. 42 points. Oh, my goodness.
And that makes him October's Jablam Junior Hockey Player of the Month. And, of course, check them out on our website. Every month, we'll be giving the award for the best junior hockey player.
And his teammate, Adam Rizika, third place in scoring. He's got 31 points, and it's no surprise with the powerhouse scoring that the Sarnia Sting are sitting atop of the OHL.
Yeah, I think because we've been checking a lot of Steelhead games, myself and as well Sean, one of our great bloggers and the guy who helps us with the social media at Jablam Hockey. We've been going to a couple of games, and we're really putting Sarnia on our schedule to make sure we watch them because these kids are playing so well.
What is it with Sarnia and getting dynamic duos? A couple years ago, Galchenyuk, Yakupov.
Yep.
This year, Kyrou and Rizika are looking pretty good.
Yeah.
It's still early. I've all played about 16, 17 games, and 31 points, 42 points. Sounds pretty darn good to me.
The way St. Louis is playing right now, they're going to be excited to have this kid as one of their prospects, and they drafted him in 2016 in the second round.
Second round pick.
Yeah, he's playing so well. So.
And St. Louis definitely doesn't need it much more scoring right now. Mm-hmm. Alex Steen has been on fire since returning. But speaking about another team in blue.
Yes, let's do a Leafs looking. All right. The Leafs are currently 12-7-0. They started hot out of, at the beginning. And then they started slumping so poorly and playing so really bad. And then they've won the last 4 in a row. And 3 straight now without Austin Matthews. You know what? I actually really think if you're watching the games closely, the Leafs still haven't been that great but they're winning games because they have a better team now. You can win games without being your best when you have that much depth on, especially at forward.
And their special teams has been great. And it's also another thing that I've noticed is guys that have been stepping up that needed to step up. Guys like Marner, he stepped up huge. And I know that you want to talk a little bit about Marleau.
Yeah.
Marlowe's on fire right now.
Yeah. Marleau has now 8 goals on the season. And the thing is, he's on pace for 35 goals. I think it's about 59 points. So it's not crazy. But again, the goals
He's also 38.
Yeah.
And what I can't fathom is he's playing 3-on-3 every overtime. He's always getting minutes, and he's back-checking. I remember last week, that overtime game, he back-checked, stole the puck, turned it around, and Marner and him go down 2-on-1, bang, game over.
Yeah.
And he's 38 years old back-checking and getting there and making plays, getting his butt back down the ice and scoring goals. I don't know if he's drinking from the fountain of youth or whatever. He's clicking with the Leafs, though. This young team has really rejuvenated him.
I think I need to drink some of that, whatever Marleau is drinking. But, yeah, no, he's been very good. I'm a little surprised how well he's fit in with the Leafs because there is a bit of that age gap, but it's worked wonders. And sometimes I don't like to say this with forwards, and I like to say this about defensemen. Sometimes I don't notice Marleau on the ice. But again, he's a bit more of a better two-way forward than he used to be. And that's a good thing. So he's still helping out defensively, and then he'll just come in and score a big goal when they need to. He's way up there now in game-winning goals.
Yeah, it's 101st game-winning goal the other night, that Friday night. 101st game winner.
Yeah.
I think I've played maybe 100 hockey games.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's a lie. But 100 competitive hockey games?
Yeah.
This guy has 101 NHL game-winning goals.
Yeah. Other guys that are playing really well right now, Naz Kadri, of course, 5 in 4 games, and JVR and Mitzi Marner, 4 points in the last 2 games. They're playing really well. Bozak needs to pick it up. He's 0-4. But again, during the practice, as of today when we're recording it, of course, Matthew's still out, but Nylander has the flu, and Bozak's taking an extra day off, maintenance day, so he might be a little bit banged up, and that's why
he's looked a step slow. But the other night when Babcock went back to that line that worked so well last year, he put Bozak between JVR and Marner like they did last year, and that line was on fire. Bozak seemed to get a little step back in his game, so maybe if he's a little banged up, that confidence getting back to that line, because all of us in Leafs Nation, we being based in Toronto, obviously, we know what those guys can do when they're put together. Mm-hmm. They did some serious damage last year. So if they can get clicking again, and JVR, if he keeps putting his butt in front of the net and redirecting things or going through the legs or dipsy doodling like no one else can do, that line should just be all right.
Yeah. JVR kind of reminds me of a modern day and age Dave Andreychuk. So, and again, congrats to Andreychuk being in the Hockey Hall of Fame as we're recording this on Hockey Hall of Fame Day.
Yeah.
And then Matthews is an interesting thing. I wonder if he's going to show up to the games like on Saturday. But he's 10 goals, 19 points already in those games that he's played, plus 14. So people have already been talking about him being in the Selke-worthy contention. It's too early. It's way too early. At least put it, I'd say I usually look at that at like a third of the season, start looking maybe at worse.
I'd say Christmas break, the World Junior time, going into the World Juniors, that 2 days you have.
It's a good break to think about where do you think guys will finish off at the end of the year. But he's on pace for 93 points as well. That's 1.19 points per game so far this year. That's crazy. I was projecting at the beginning of the year about just over the 80 points. We have our friendly bets. You're 42 and down, I'm 44 and above in goals. So he's looking to surpass that.
Yeah, well, I thought 42 was thought that was the number. I really thought Austin Matthews might have a little bit of a sophomore slump. Yeah. Clearly not, but we don't know about this injury, an upper body injury. Not what you want to hear from the face of the new face of a franchise, pardon me. But, I mean, if he can get back and he can get rolling, point per game player, easily. Yeah. He should break 80 points. But another guy that stepped up huge of late, Freddie Anderson. Leafs Nation again, all worried. Start of the year. Same thing last year. Maybe Anderson's just a slow starter.
I guess so. But
Last year he came in off the injury.
Yeah.
This year the team played phenomenally in front of him, and he didn't really need to stop the puck.
Which was weird because he came in fresh with the weight loss and the new regimen and the diet and everything. And it was like, oh, we're not going to have that lull in Anderson's first month of the season. But we kind of did again.
We did, but as of late, he's won 4 of his last 5 starts. In 3 of those games, his save percentage has been above .943. And just to give you a hint, he's got a .901 save percentage on the year. So when you've played roughly 10, 12 games, that tells you that he's been pretty bad. And now he's really starting to turn it around. And we, watching the Maple Leafs, also people that follow the Ducks closely, can tell you when Freddie Anderson is on his game, there aren't too many guys that can beat him. He moves laterally so well. He's 6'3". He takes up the net. And that combination of speed and flexibility that he presents and size makes him a really big threat. If he can just keep his confidence up, and if the Leafs can keep their defensive strategies, their penalty kill has improved drastically over the last couple of games. I know statistically they're still near the bottom, but Babcock said on his post-game interview on Friday, statistically we're still near the bottom, but he likes what he sees. And then obviously from a fan's perspective, it's always nice to see your team killing penalties and Freddie Anderson making huge, huge saves.
Yeah, if Anderson can now pick up and start playing as well he has, and the Leafs need to pick up their game, because especially maybe allowing too many shots, stuff like that, if they can solidify that, then they'll start to get a good groove and be the team that they probably should be.
Yeah, definitely the team they should be. It's just they got to tighten up the hatches defensively, as you said.
Yeah. Connor, let's do some hot and cold.
Katy Perry? Hot and you're cold. Yeah. No? All right.
All right. So basically, talk about some players that are playing very hot and some not so good. Some sitting in the freezer, maybe. Number 1. John Klingberg. You know what? I don't hear a lot about him. I don't know if it's because in Dallas he hasn't been good as he was his first 2 years.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's in Dallas, but when you hear things in Dallas, it was Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Klingberg.
Yes.
He's the guy. In fantasy talk, he's the guy.
Yeah.
So what
7 points in 3 games, 18 points this season so far. He's on pace for 93 points if he can keep this up.
Like another guy that we just talked about, Mr. Austin Matthews.
Yeah, another guy we talked about during the Team ISO with Art is Blake Wheeler. 11 points in the last 5 games, 23 points for the year, and he, again, like I said, 118-point pace.
That's ridiculous.
Before we get into it, we'll talk about offense. Round it up, Nikita Kucherov, he's been playing great all season, but he's currently at 7 points in the last 3 games. 30 points, 137-point pace for Cooch.
He has more goals than Patrick Kane has points this season.
Kane's struggling.
Take that one to the bank, fantasy owners.
And then another little one that's pretty cool for St. Louis and will really piss off Flyers fans. Braden Shen, 9 points in the last 4 games for the Blues. He's got 15 assists, 20 points, and he's on pace for 91 points. The offense in the NHL this year it just seems like it's skyrocketed so far to start the season.
It's what they wanted. Everyone around the league, Bill Daly, Gary Bettman, they all said they wanted more scoring, and that's what they're getting. It's unfortunate on one hand to see all these goalies get plummeted, but at the same time, it's great to see all these goals. And it's so exciting.
Does it bother you as
I mean,
a goaltender?
as some of the rules really bug me. I don't mind the shrinking the equipment. Some of the equipment, that is, because when you're a guy that my height, a 6'4" guy, or lots of goalies now, I think the average height in the league is 6'3". Those pants should be wider. I agree, Slim, but the fact that you cut them off and the length, that really, you getting hit in the knee with a puck on bare skin really hurts, so I don't really like that as much. But, hey, I'm all about it's exciting hockey, and I'm really enjoying it. And now, it's really, when you see a great performance from a goaltender, you know that's skill.
Yeah. The other thing is the rule changes, and there's a blog from Peter Bojarinov, and it's on JablamHockey.com. You can check it out. He's not too happy with the face-off rules. But you know what? I still think that's really increasing the offense. If you're a really good centerman and you're killing on the face-offs, I think who was playing the other day? Oh man, I can't even remember right now. I think the Leafs were also getting beat a lot on the face-offs against Boston.
Yeah, they were. Bergeron was eating them alive.
So, and there's been a few other games. I think St. Louis has been really good on face-offs too with their guys. And when you can't get the puck into your zone and you keep on losing those offensive face-offs and you keep on dumping it for the icings and time and time again, you can't do anything to get it out. And then boom, a goal happens that easily. I know a lot of people aren't huge on face-offs and those kind of stats, but it eats at you.
Possession it's the underlying rule in hockey. You have to have the puck.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty obvious you have to have the puck to score, unless Patrick Laine wants to score on his own net. We talked about that earlier. Mm-hmm. But possession, starting that game with the puck and getting that first chip in, getting the first hit, getting the first shot on goal, you never know what can happen. It really does set the tone.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some cold players. This is going to be hard to read. Brandon Saad, 1 point in the last 8. Yikes. Nicholas Backstrom, a guy that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't see him as good as, I guess, some fans think he's good.
He gets his numbers pumped a little bit.
With Ovi, but again, he's
got great vision.
Does, but he's struggling right now. 1 point in the last 9 games.
Yikes.
So if you do have him, again, for fantasy guys, put him on your bench.
He might be wearing some blinders. Vision's a little off.
Chewbacca, Brent Burns, no goals so far this season. 0 and 5 for points. He's only on pace for 36 points. It's going to be extremely low for that big guy.
Yeah, that's a fantasy. That's a hurting fantasy pick because a lot of fantasy owners went and took him
in the first round
instead of Carlson because as the top pick, because Carlson was hurt and they didn't know when he was going to come back.
Did you pick him when we were talking about the?
Yeah, I did. How could you not pick Brett Burns? Brett Burns is a beauty. I stand by it.
Yeah.
I would pick him at the start of the season. I would pick him again.
Yeah,
I really would. He scored 27 goals last year.
I know. Well,
step it up, Burnsy. Let's go, bud.
All right, and let's round it off with some Blue Jackets. Guys are struggling. It's Wenberg and Nick Foligno. Wenberg 0 in the last 6. Foligno 0 in the last 9. No points in the last 9 games for him. Wenberg, he's on pace for only 41 points, and Foligno is on pace for only 37.
Yeah.
So Columbus is still winning some games, but these guys are not helping at all.
Well, that other night in Detroit, that was where that save. A 2-on-0. Yeah. Sergei, empty net, shot. Sergei Bobrovsky's toe comes out of nowhere. If you haven't seen it, make sure you hit that up on YouTube.
Do you do that as a goaltender, or is it something in your mind where you stick out your leg and at the last second you kind of flick up your heel?
Yeah. Well, it's when you see the pass go across, and if the stick goes to the side of the player, you know it's going to be they're going to try and put some height on it. If they keep it out in front, it's going to be tapped. So what you want to do is read the edge of the player's stick and where they're pulling the puck back to. And the second you see them pull it back towards their side, you got to just try to kick that toe up in the air because hey, it worked for Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah, it's worked at least a couple times every year.
He is so good.
Yeah. And then to finish up with Trevor Daley not doing well in the back end for the Wings with 0 in 13 games.
I think Trevor Daley's a little bit past his prime.
Time for some Saturday's picks. First off, we're going to go with 2 teams that are hot, and we've already talked about them this year. It's the Devils. It's the Jets. Would we be talking about how that this is like the game of the week even last year or the last few years?
No, the Devils have come. We've talked about it countless times over this show, this first few episodes, how great and surprising this Devils team has been. Whether it's Will Butcher on the back end, Corey Schneider in the pipes, even Keith Kincaid in the pipes is playing lights out. And then offensively, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Hall's on fire.
He's picking it up.
Well, they scored 7 goals in Chicago on Sunday night, last night.
Yeah.
And they were down 4-1 at the end of the first period. That's a team possessed.
They're
possessed.
I think we both had in separate leagues. We had Crawford and
starting fantasy. That lost me some points.
Yeah, but so for that, and then again, we already talked about the Jets earlier in the episode. They're playing well with Wheeler and those guys. Who do you have in that game?
I think I have to take the Devils because any team, Chicago's a great team. Yes, they're struggling this year.
Chicago?
Yeah, they're struggling this year, without a doubt. Corey Crawford's been playing pretty solid, but they're definitely struggling. But the fact that it's Chicago, they still have that aura about them. It's tough to go into Chicago and win. Oh, sorry. Talking about the Devils and the Jets. Goodness gracious.
Go ahead.
I am talking about Chicago because the Devils last night were in Chicago, down 4-1. They threw me off there. And they were able to come back against a solid team and a hot goaltender, and not only win it, they won 7. They ended up scoring 6 more goals.
Yeah.
So winning it 7-5. So if you can go into a place like the Madhouse and steal a win in that manner, I don't see why you can't go into Winnipeg and squeak out a win either.
You don't think a whiteout in Winnipeg would...
it's possible.
The fans there are pretty rabid.
The fans there are rabid. Their goaltender is rabid. Actually, the guy's playing all over the place.
Winnipeg 6-1-3 in the last 10. But again, the Devils 6-1-1 away. So I'm also picking the Devils. All right, let's go to the original 6 matchup, the big 2 in Canada. It's the Leafs at Montreal. Wow. You know what? This is a game I think the Leafs need, and maybe even Montreal. Montreal's been playing a little better lately. But the Leafs, even though they've been winning the last few games, they haven't put their full effort, a full 60-minute game, all out in a while. This game, I think, can bring it out of them.
Yeah.
The first game against Boston, they got lucky. They stole 2 points.
Yeah.
The second game, McElhinney stood on his head. So the Leafs, they need to turn it around, pardon me. But my question is, who's going to be on that Leafs roster? Because we touched on it.
Yeah.
Nylander has the flu. He should be ready to go. We'll give him 6 days. He should be ready.
Matthews might be back. We don't know.
Matthews could be back. It's the lingering upper body injury that none of us know anything about. So if he's back in the lineup, I don't see the Leafs losing. Yeah. I understand that Montreal's all head over heels right now for Lindgren, but come on. I'll take Matthews over Lindgren when it comes down to it.
Well, yeah, if he's coming down, you're thinking if he has any of those good shootout type chances of scoring, he's going to score in every single chance.
Yeah.
And I think with Lindgren, you're always, if he's playing so well, he's going to have that high octane beginning, and then he's going to have a lull at one point.
There's going to be a game, and there's going to be a team that can light you up. It's how good does that feel to say?
Yeah.
I'm 22 years old now, and I don't think the Leafs have ever been a team that can light you up with 3 lines.
We already mentioned it, but again, we're going back to it now. Matthews has 10 goals. Kadri and JVR have 9, I think. Marleau has 8. Yeah. And you know what? We didn't even talk about Morgan Rielly, how well he's playing, and he's putting up some offensive numbers.
Yeah, well, I think putting him down the second pairing has really opened up his offensive game. Zaitsev and Gardner have done a great job against the other team's top line, and it's given Rielly a lot more room to skate out there against possibly weaker forwards.
And we were talking about guys that are, maybe on the hot seat. But Galchenyuk's still one of them. Again, I think he doesn't have a point in the last 3 games or so.
Oh, here's the real question. Will Durant keep his pants on?
All right. Okay. So we're both picking Leafs?
Yeah, I got the Maple Leafs.
Yeah. And then you want to talk about?
Well, Chicago-Pittsburgh. Now, we just talked about Chicago, how they got embarrassed on home ice last night. Oh, my goodness. How can you be up 4-1 in the first period to an unexperienced team like the Devils and blow the lead and cost your team 2 points? So this is a grudge match, I feel. Obviously, Chicago with the 10 goals against Pittsburgh. I don't think they'll see 10 goals, but a really high-scoring, fast-paced game. Crosby versus Taves. It'll be an exciting one. Obviously, Crosby hasn't scored in 11 games. 1 game off his longest streak of his career, set back in 2011-2012.
Wow.
But I think in the tale of slumping captains and slumping teams, I got to give the edge to the Hawks. I know that it's in Pittsburgh, but Corey Crawford, as I said, he's been playing really, really solid. Yeah. Obviously, last night he looked like Swiss cheese. As we said, every goaltender has their day. So I think Chicago, if they can go in, they can get the puck deep. Richard Panik's playing well. He's back with Taves. Seabrook has all the confidence, obviously, becoming the 5th highest player. I think the Hawks right now, I think the second half of November is when the Hawks really start to turn it around. I think Pittsburgh, that's a big statement game for them.
I find that usually this is when Pittsburgh starts to falter every year around mid-November to December.
And then the streak. They go hot to start, and then they cool off. As you say, they go into the freezer.
Slowly
pick it up. It's something, either Matt Murray or Malkin comes alive, or you name it. Pick your poison.
Yeah, they're all pretty good there. All right, and that's it for this episode. Again, for our Saturday's picks, always go on at Jablam Hockey or on our website, jablamhockey.com. You can see all of our Saturday's picks. Connor, you did pretty well last week.
I got 2 wrong last week. I was on fire. I had sent in my picks a little late, but in all fairness, they were in before the first puck drop. So, just saying, I had a hot week. Ride my picks. You'll see them on Friday night.
Yeah, and hashtag #SatPicks if you want for that. Also, for next episode, we're going to do a top 5.
Ooh, I love this. Top 5 rookies to this point in the season. I'll write a little blog to go along with that. And I'm sure Peter and I will have some friendly, heated chit-chat about those, because I'm sure we have pretty different opinions. You know me, I'm all about the goaltenders, and Peter likes his big goal scorers, the big Russian goal scorers, who I can't stand.
Anyways, we'll also try to do another Team ISO, and then we'll also give you some fantasy up and down, and I'll do it next week. That's it for this episode. Again, remember, do the hashtags if you can. Hashtag Jablam, hashtag JHockey, or hashtag Jablam Hockey, and go to our website. Check out our episodes and all the other blogs that we have going on. I'm going to try to write a blog about, you know what, I'm a big fan of Move Rare and not so much of hay on the steelheads. And I'll talk about that, or I'll write about that in that blog. And that's it. See you next week.